We are Tailgate Talk. Welcome into the show. I'm Matt Thomas. With me, we've got Kyle Mulwiney, Trent Williams, and Kyle Schumann. We are coming to you to recap an absolutely bonkers week 2 of college football, headlined, of course, for us by a 46-10 Penn State win over Ohio from Beaver Stadium. So, guys, my question to start the show for you: are the rumors James Franklin to Nebraska or James Franklin to Texas A&M? Because one of those firings already happened. Another one might be coming soon.
Yeah, those rumors love to start. I don't think Franklin's stock's quite as high as it was in years past, so I'm not sure if we'll see the rumors this year or not.
Do we get a Kyle Mulwiney Wilson youth football head coaching position that gets to Nebraska then?
I'm actually going to Notre Dame. So,
I mean, Notre Dame still got some time. Winnie could probably do just as well as Scott Frost did. So that was a train wreck.
Over under 3 games.
Yeah, a lesson to all those college football fans out there about just ride your coach's contract out. Don't lose $7.5 million just to get rid of a guy.
It's insane. It's insane that they did that.
Yeah,
money is just no option in college football. To be honest, like every program has that money. Like even though they say they don't, they do.
It's like there's a bye week in there too, so it's literally 2 games. Yeah. That they could have saved themselves $7.5 million. That's a lot of money. I don't care how much money they have.
People want to explain that a little bit more.
The season's over anyways.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of like negotiation there. Like maybe the buyout's not 15, but it's not 7. Like, see the writing on the wall. I'm going anyway. But
anyway. Why would he negotiate? Why would Scott Frost do that though? I'd say no. Fire me now and give me my full 15, or let me coach out till you want to fire me. I wouldn't budge a second.
No.
Yeah, that's fair. Be like at Odron, which door do you want me out of and what time you want me to leave?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are not a Nebraska podcast, so should we?
I feel like it. We do a lot of talking about them, but they're fun to talk about.
just Frost.
It's fun. It's fun this year. It's fun to talk about Nebraska and talk about Iowa and just those dumpster fire situations.
And then Wisconsin and the big. Let's be honest. I think our Purdue Boilermakers, I think they're going to win the Big Ten West. We saw Wisconsin go down. We're seeing Northwestern lose at Duke. I mean,
boiler up. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that win. Looking better and better by the minute. So, all right. Normally, I would say who wants to start with their good, but I guess I should really say who wants to pick Nick Singleton as their good, because I imagine someone's going there. So, who wants to be the one to do it?
But he have a good day.
I've heard he might have done some stuff.
Who wants it?
So
I'll take him.
Okay, so then we gotta clean up the rest of the stuff that he forgot. But
that sounds about right. It's on par with the show here.
Go ahead, Wayne.
Nick Singleton really jumped out the gate. In my opinion, the blocking in this game wasn't the best, and I know we're talking about Nick Singleton as the good, but some of the runs that he had to the right side there were just incredible. The first one was actually blocked decently, if I can remember. The next 2 was just all him, just running down the sideline, which was just really impressive to see that. And it just reminded me a little bit of Saquon and just seeing him take off. So I'm excited to see what happens with him. I do want to see what Franklin does. I know Lee only got, I think, 1 carry and he had 1 reception. So he was really kind of put more into like this minimal state. So I'm hoping that we kind of go into Auburn with the game plan of either, Nick is our guy or, I don't know, something different. But hopefully Nick is the RB1 going in.
I think it's solidified. I mean, I think the rest of Nick Singleton himself, it was 10 carries, 179 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the rest of our running game was, if I read this correctly, 24 carries for 55 yards. So he's definitely our RB1 going forward until otherwise.
Yeah, totally.
I wouldn't be surprised if they still do a little bit of a rotation. I think they did the rotation well. It's kind of what we talked about last week about using it as more of like a change of pace within a drive. And then I think he just got hot. And from there, by the time it was time to circle like Lee back in, I think they just kind of figured that, he doesn't need the experience. Don't risk getting him hurt and just kind of let him go. But
I'm with Matt here too. Franklin's not the kind of guy to just shake things up for the fun of it. Like, even though Singleton balled out, like Franklin looks at something and is like, the rotation's working. Let's keep it up. He's not just going to change that.
And he basically said as much that after the game that Nick got hot and they just kept him. But it was fun to watch. Going to what you said, Winnie, about those last two. That's my only caution with that especially that second TD run. It was supposed to be inside. He bounced it out, beat those two guys to the edge, and then just took off. Yeah. That's what our run game has missed the last 2 years, and that's fantastic. But that's not a recipe for consistent running, if that makes sense.
I agree. I mean, because you're playing Ohio, to your point. Once you against the big dogs, you're not going to be able to get away with it as easily and rip off.
I think truthfully,
his first run, you think he kicked outside?
The second.
No. The first one was
I was gonna say because the first one, the guard Sal
that was
a great huge walk pulled to the outside.
Yeah, he read it well though and cut it up inside of him. But
as Winnie said though, like he looked very Saquon-esque because like remember in 16, 17, we didn't have a great offensive line those years, and Saquon had to bounce some runs outside. Remember like the USC game that was initially going to be like a 2-yard loss, and he bounced that right outside. So
it's making something out of nothing, which is that quality that Saquon has that we probably haven't really had since Saquon. I feel like every time Nick Singleton touches the ball, there's a chance he takes it to the house. Even if there's not a hole there, there's a chance he takes it to the house.
Yeah. I mean, like those early season games are always kind of a little sleepy, like especially once you go up by a couple scores. It's just like, all right, I got excited whenever he touched the ball because you felt like he could go.
So I don't know if you guys caught this in the game.
Two other stats on that one. So 179 yards. That is the most rushing yards by a Penn State running back in their debut at Beaver Stadium ever. So
I saw that.
And then
I've seen that.
We haven't had a lot of explosive running plays recently, but I saw this on Blue White Illustrated today. Of the 276 rushing yards that we had in the game yesterday, 229 of them came on 8 carries. And we had 26 total rushing carries. So we definitely had some explosive running plays yesterday. That was cool to see.
I was about to say, I'm not sure if you guys caught it, but I know Matt did because I sat with him during the game. But on that touchdown run, an official's flag fell out of his pocket. So there was a flag laying at midfield. I stopped celebrating. I was like, oh, it's coming back. Like, and everyone's like, I'm like, where? The ref goes over, picks it up, and then it's like, there's no foul in the play. I'm like, oh, now you ruined my celebration. I thought it was coming back.
No, I was too busy freaking out because that boy was gone. Oh my God. That was so cool to watch. That's fun. So, all right, who wants to go next?
I can go next here.
Okay.
My good is the freshman that played in this game. Obviously, we already hit hard on Nick Singleton, but Drew L.R., 6 of 8, 88 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Amari Evans, 2 receptions, 30 yards, and a touchdown. Cahill Dinkins, 1 reception, 28 yards. And Dominic DeLuca, he's a backup linebacker, 7 solo tackles. So, I mean, as we hit going into the preview episode, we want to get these young guys in, get them some experience, and our true freshmen, some of the redshirt freshmen, they balled out. They showed up, and we got some good game experience going forward here.
Yeah, 12 true freshmen played in that game, which is that's a big number.
Yeah. So we want to see it.
I'll just kind of piggyback off of you, Coco, because my good is kind of right along that. I've gone with just the general coaching and the execution for that game. I don't think you could ask for any more. I counted 75 different players that played. Obviously, like we just said, 12 true freshmen. I'm sure everyone's seen the stat now that's been circling from the football comms Twitter. 17 different players catching the football yesterday. There was only 15 that caught the passes last year overall. Like, that's great. You touched on Amari Evans. I was impressed with him. The running back rotation, which we said, and I think getting Alar in that situation where the game's kind of out of hand, but not really, because if he throws an interception or whatever, like that game could get back on you quick. And he was even going to come in the second quarter, like we were talking about it, Trent. We saw him warming up on the sideline, and then when Ohio scored that touchdown, they put Clifford back in to get the points. But yeah, I think that was good getting a lot of guys experience, and that will help.
And Matt, you're saying about
just to top off of your 17, I saw that 5 players got their first career reception in that game.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to pick out like a receiver that did well, and I wanted to. And after the game, thinking about it on the drive home, I was like, oh, Amari Evans did well. And then I look at the stat line, he had like 2 catches. Everyone was like 2 catches. So,
but we were standing, we were staying with my dad watching the game, and he said, like, how many wide receivers do we have? Because he felt like, like, he's like, we must be like 8 wide receiver with all these guys. I'm like, yeah, Dad, they're all like half of them are true freshmen catching balls too.
Yeah.
So
it felt like it. Jaden Dodden was another one I was impressed with. I mean, his stat line again, he had like 2 or 3 catches. So,
Yep.
but he technically got the start yesterday. Not that that necessarily matters, but technically he got the start over Parker. So that was cool to see.
And it was also good to see with getting these rotational players and even our second string defense. Like I think it was like for a drive or two, we were still going against like Ohio's ones, and we were stifling them with our two. So it's still good to see.
Yeah, I mean, my prediction was pretty spot on, not gonna lie. But I thought we were gonna see a couple garbage time TDs, so it was good to see the defense get some younger guys in and still not give up points.
Mhm.
So, Trent, what do you got?
Yeah, so mine was more general too, Matt, sort of similar to what you were saying, but it was just beating the team we should by a margin that we should. And that allowed, I mean, all the stuff we've talked about to this point, all the freshmen that played, like that all happened because our first team went out there, got the job done, got the points when they needed them early, and our defense executed. We were able to get everyone in. And that's what we're looking for. I mean, I think we learned in college football, like these first 2 weeks, that you just never know what can happen, or even some bad teams have played with some really good football teams this year or beat some good football teams this year. So just executing and getting the win in the way that we should have got the win.
Good teams win, great teams cover.
Another cover.
Were there upsets yesterday? I didn't know.
Nothing too crazy.
Okay. That's good. All right. Bad. Winnie, what do you got?
Bad. I actually had Pinniger missing the field goal. I was hoping that we wouldn't kind of get on this concerning trend again. He missed an extra point as well, but that was something that just kind of concerned me a little bit. You'd expect to be in a rhythm. There was nothing crazy with the weather or anything like that. You're playing in a team like Ohio. Just worries me as we get deeper into the season that we don't want to really concern ourselves with missing field goals or especially missing extra points.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially with the close games that we played last year, there were 6 games within like a touchdown margin of victory, and however many we should have this year, that's definitely important. But actually, like, because I was thinking Pinniger too, and then hearing what Franklin had to say and all after the game, that's actually kind of on the line. Like he said, even the missed field goal and the missed extra point, it was because Ohio got a push on that inside position. Yeah. So
maybe it was from where Kyle and I were standing. Couldn't see that side.
On that note, this Sunday in the NFL has been crazy, and Kyle and I were watching that Bengals Steelers game, and the missed field goals, it was all a result of like the long snapper or the line push. Like it wasn't on the kicker, but it's just kicking is such a repetition thing that a millisecond of the timing is off. It just throws everything off.
Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, it's good that you start working this stuff out early in the year, so it's not. I mean, we could have had that same thing happen last week at Purdue, and then you're in a real situation. So I'm glad that it's Ohio and not somebody else. So
yeah.
All right, Coco.
My bad. I'm going with our D line, more like front seven pass rush. I mean, I felt like we didn't get a great pass rush. There's definitely some QB hurries in there, but I just felt like maybe we weren't showing anything crazy like to that. Our secondary was held Ohio to not many passing yards. I mean, it was like one drive late in the second quarter with some trick plays on in there. But I don't know. I wasn't impressed with our D line getting a pass rush. But again, like I don't know how much we really obviously needed that badly. So
I'll jump off of that, Coco. So my bad was just going to be the battle of the trenches in general. I mean, our offensive line, I think we came out of that again. It wasn't like they were terrible. We've seen worse, but just with our opponent, I think we want to see a little cleaner offensive line play. And then the defensive line, like you mentioned, Kyle, I mean, we had 1 sack. We gave up 5 sacks. I don't think that's good. I think it was 8 tackles for loss as a whole. So I'd like to have dominated the battle of the trenches a little more in a game like Ohio than we did.
Yeah.
But then again, like we got some, like I say that for the D line, then we got pressure and help cause a safety at the same time. So
and I said last week, when Winnie was talking, like pressure is one thing, sacks are another. Like you can get pressure all game. It doesn't always equate to sacks, but it doesn't show up in the box line as much, but it is a huge thing, getting pressure and disrupting the quarterback.
And Ohio's quarterback, he has like that like Sean Clipper speed where it's not breakaway, but definitely elusive enough where he can avoid some pressure, scramble and get 10-15 yards. So I must say he did do a good job with that when we did get the pressure on him.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see the official number on it, but they were getting the ball out quick too. So I mean, it's kind of basic, but if I'm scheming against Penn State's defense, quick game is going to be a crucial part of my scheme, because that, you just kind of neutralize that blitzing aspect of it. But I'll kind of hop off both of you, because my bad was the lines in general too. Like you said, the D line hasn't been, they haven't been bad like that.
No.
It's kind of,
No, it's
it's
not.
just,
They haven't been
like,
bad, but they're my pick for the bad.
Just because of all the talent and the expectation that we had. Like, if you go back and listen to our defensive preview, like, we were all high on this line and what we thought they could be. I feel like Chop's the only one right now that I feel confident in being able to get a pass rush without like a blitz involved, So yesterday, only 3 pass rushes from the whole group, 2 tackles for loss. So we'd like to see more. And then line, Winnie, you said it too, that it wasn't the best. There's positives there, but I think that right side is going to be an issue this year. Caden Wallace, against Purdue, didn't do the best. Effner came in and kind of bailed him out. Yesterday it was the opposite. Wallace rebounded and Effner struggled. His PFF grade for pass protection was 37. So that's not good. But meanwhile, Olu has been playing really well. He's been really impressive on that left side, and I feel really confident in the left side of the line.
We say we go back to the D line real quick. We say that not a lot of pressure, but we held a high to 100 rushing yards. Like
rush defense has been really good. It's that pass,
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, it's funny though, Matt. You talk about the right side of the offensive line, but that seemed in the run game to be where the electric plays happened at the same time.
The side that Nick kind of favored, especially.
Yeah. I think that's kind of like generally your left side is your stronger pass blocking side, and then and it showed when we passed the ball. It felt like most of the pressure was coming from that right side, and that's when those sacks. That's where that came from. So again, but there are positives. The run blocking was better than what we've seen the last couple of years. So I'll take it. Steady improvement. So
we're going into the ugly.
Yeah, I think anyone else.
Well, well, actually, just let me finish off, because my ugly was the line. So you guys are rolling into it. I didn't think all 3 of you would have that as your bad, but that was my ugly. So I'm not going to beat it up too much.
You're really picking like a bad.
Well, okay.
45 to 10. How much?
Exactly.
I know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think this segment has like 1 good and then 2 bad. The 2 bad things to talk about, and I think it's really getting nitpicky. So for my ugly, I'm not gonna give Penn State an ugly this week. We got the job done like I think we should have. So I'm going with Notre Dame. Notre Dame was the ugly of the week, losing to Marshall. Charles Huff, Penn State guy from the James Franklin coaching tree. Largely, a lot of people give him a lot of credit for Saquon, his time at Penn State, and what he did with Saquon. So was so happy to see Charles Huff get that victory out there at Marshall and beat Notre Dame. Made the day so much better.
Yeah, it did.
Trent, real quick, going back to NFL field goals, the Titans had a chance to game-winning field goal against the Giants, and the guy just pushed it left. So
not a good week for NFL kickers.
Hey, Saquon got the win there. Even though as an Eagles fan, I want to see the Giants win, but it's good to see Saquon have a good game.
Yeah,
let's bring Sam Ficken back on a practice roster somewhere in the NFL. So.
I'll do my ugly real quick. Again, I'm not giving Penn State any ugly. This is more of what happened at the game. I don't know about you guys, but Gate B had some scanning ticket issues. Winnie, I got it okay, but my dad said that he was in line for like 15, 20 minutes, and they had some, like 2 of the lines had like scanning issues with their phones, and so like people trying in right before the game. He said that was just a nutcase.
I think a lot of it is, so I will give a positive for the gates. There was way more entrances for the metal detectors, whatever you're calling them, to get in. Last year it was like a hurdle of cows. There's 1 gate. This year there was like 12, so that was great. But I think the biggest thing is people just still don't know how to use electronic tickets. They're like holding their phone backwards to it, side like. No, just go up and tap it. Like they don't know.
My dad's
like mine is instant. Like tap, boom, in.
It's hard to find the point though. Like because I had both the tickets on my phone. I scanned mine.
You're in that older age group that doesn't know how to use technology.
That's true. I tried to print them out and put it up. It didn't work. But like my first one worked fine, and then I go to scan the second one. Literally had the phone in the same spot. And it's like
you had both tickets on the same device? Yeah. And I think that's a big thing. I think a lot of people have like 5 tickets. And I do notice when there's 2 tickets on the same device, I feel like it takes longer because there's that little lag, like from one ticket scans to the next, where I feel like if you have 5 people in different, by the time that person scans and walks through, that next person steps up, that time is past, that person scanning. It seems like when people have multiple tickets on the same device, it's like tap, hold back, wait, tap, hold back, wait. I feel like I don't love the electronic tickets yet. It's just not as smooth as I wish it could be.
Well, that wasn't my. I just want to say for my dad that was his ugly. But I do have a bonus one. Trent said about Notre Dame. Mine's Iowa again. Iowa lost 10-7 to Iowa State, scoring only 7 points. It was a touchdown, but that offense, man, it is just ugly.
Yeah. But losing to Iowa State's a lot more respectable.
That's true. I just hate Iowa. I hate those guys.
I love how this Penn State segment's slowly turning into just college football.
Well, when we had a good week, and a lot of other programs did not have good weeks, it made for a great week of college football for us.
Yeah.
Winnie and the Birds won.
And the Birds won.
All right, I wouldn't go celebrate about beating the Lions, but also like just after the week of college football that we had, if you think that the NFL is better than college football, I don't know what to say. Like, my gosh,
I'm not an NFL guy at all. But I said to Kyle today, I don't know. Today, watching the NFL in Red Zone, there was like 5 great games coming down to the wire. I said I'm over the argument. Why can't we just say football is great? Period.
It is. Yeah. It is, but college football is still just.
Yeah, I'm a college guy, but NFL.
What's your
1 o'clock? The 1 o'clock slate was exciting.
It was loaded. The 1 o'clock one.
Yeah. So my ugly again. Can't say anything about the team. I could go with the parking attendants though, because my ongoing feud with the parking attendants continues. But I try, but I'm going with the in-game like gimmicky sorts of things that they do during the timeouts, like. The new guy that does it, I'll give it. He's a little bit more entertaining than what they had the last couple of years. And the one when they kicked the field goal and that kid won $1,000 was cool.
That was pretty cool.
He did the little wiggle that the kickers do, and I was like, oh, this is either going through or this is going to be hilarious because it's just going to turf it. But
because it normally is like the worst kick you've ever seen. It don't get 3 yards off the ground.
He did it at the end. He did the Trace McSorley swing and the salute and everything. That was pretty cool.
He's been practicing for a while.
Was it just me, or did they slow down the clock from the girl
That's what I'm getting. They always do.
See, Winnie wouldn't know that because he's not at all. But no one has never not completed that lottery.
Yeah,
no one.
Yeah. That's the thing. The Weiss, run that they had. At least this year they had people running it. Last year they did like that video race or whatever, like all that kind of stuff. It reminds me of going to a pro game or like the games that we've been to when we played Temple or at Pitt. It feels like you're just trying to like generate atmosphere, and we don't need it. Like just let the blue band play, let the lion do his thing, even though this one can't dance that well, or let the lionettes come out and do it again. Like just do that. Like that's all I need. That's all I need. None of the viral moments.
Matt, the blue band doesn't bring in the ad revenue that Wise Markets is for that gimmick in the Pennsylvania lottery. Is that it's not? I disagree. It's not about creating the fun. It's money. Hey, we'll give you this 30-second spotlight, Wise Markets, for this donation.
Well, make it. This blue band song is brought to you by Wise Markets. So
also,
Matt, you're saying you don't like Mo Bamba anymore.
Same with the atmosphere for a noontime Ohio game. I guess another good we can say is fans showed out. Over 100,000 or 107,000 people there. Student section filled up. Now again, they were gone by like halftime, but still, like
I don't know if there were 107,000 there.
No, but I'm with Kyle. It was a great crowd for a home opener against Ohio. The upper deck looked largely filled. The students filled, like a great crowd for that home opener. When Singleton broke that run, that place erupted.
Yeah,
and when down in the end zone, the student section where the safety happened, we were standing there. It was really loud. It sounded like a good game, and this is good.
That's why you follow Tailgate Talk for that insightful analysis that we got.
It was
good. Anything else we want to touch on from the game? I've got a few other notes and questions.
One thing I want to mention is I feel like our offense and Clifford looked like when we needed to, or when the game wasn't out of hand, when we needed points, we got them. So that first drive, we went right down, scored effortlessly. And then I think, it did get a little stagnant, but it never felt like it was going anywhere. But then Ohio went down, got that 7 points. As Kyle mentioned, quite a few trick plays in there, which are high risk, high reward. They got the 7 points.
They were good trick plays, I must say.
And it was like
like
all
that.
right, now it's 19-7. All of a sudden, it felt like a little bit of a game again. And with like a minute and 30 seconds, we just boom, right down and scored. Clifford made a great play there when he was getting sacked, and did that like little forward shuffle pass to Lambert Smith, I think it was, and then the big Parker Washington play. So we got points, took that 7 right off the board.
Yeah,
Huge.
and that touchdown throw to Tinsley was a dime. Like,
it was a dime.
Yes,
strike for sure.
That was truthfully probably, I said this when Alar threw that great throw that Tyler Warren dropped. It's like executed perfectly, probably a little more aggressive than I'd like to see. Same thing with that. Like it worked, it was executed well, but I don't like that.
I know Alar's been compared a lot to Ben Roethlisberger, but I think you really saw it on that play where he steps up in the pocket, guys draped around his leg, and he just launches it. And
his size and arm strength is unreal.
It's just incredible though, just to see that like, you hear that resemblance, and then to see it on that play just really is like, wow.
That touchdown he had to Dinkins was nice. So he steps up, he rolls out off platform, and he tossed that like literally you're just like nonchalantly throwing it like 10 yards, except it's 30 yards on a rope. Like that was nice.
Were you more impressed with his first or second touchdown pass? Because his first one,
one.
dime piece post down the middle. I mean, you let the receiver right into the end zone. You can't drop a better pass in.
Second one, just for all those reasons, like the pocket presence, the ability to roll out, extend the play, and the off platform throw. But I think the other important thing that I wanted to touch on with Alar is the fact that he, for all that good stuff, he also looked human. He had a few pressures, he was hit a few times, sacked. He made that on that second drive where he got that second touchdown. He missed a wide open Trey Wallace for what it would have been another touchdown. He made the bad throw. So like those are the types of things that you can learn from and grow on.
It's going to happen, right? No one's perfect. I mean, we look at Florida this week, and they went from having the Heisman front runner to losing to Will Levis in Kentucky. I mean, but my thing is, I just think Penn State fans are creating a double standard here with Clifford and Alar. I understand with Clifford's experience, you expect more of him, but like Clifford played a great game too, and all anyone is talking about is Drew Alar. And it's great to see, like that depth is great to have, but like we talked about a couple of the plays Clifford made, no one talks about him. Like it's just they're over it, and it's just a double standard.
That's what I was talking about last week after the Purdue game. It's that Sean Clifford exhaustion setting in. Like the student section was chanting, "We want Drew!" Like in the first quarter, the second quarter. Like you
gotta expect that.
Yeah, it's just. It's hard.
Can I answer group one question? With all these true freshmen playing, Nick, Drew, all these wide receivers, but how great is our offense going to be next year? I know we're looking ahead.
The future is bright.
That
12
game,
true freshmen played.
Yeah. That game was a glimpse of what we could be if everything comes together. Now that's a big if, because even, we've seen these players that we've been high on, and the talent never really comes together the way we would hope. But, you would think that.
And I think Kyle touched on it well, though, too, that like, I think we did really well without showing a whole lot. I think the offense and even the defense is still really vanilla. I think they're saving a lot of stuff that I'm excited to see in the upcoming games.
And Trent will see it down in Auburn. Unlike the other two guys here.
All right.
Tailgate Talk.
If you make it
in. We'll see about that. There'll be a video of Coco being arrested at TSA for whatever reason.
I was going to say he's probably going to struggle scanning his ticket.
Trying to get grapes through.
Yeah. No grapes. There we go.
Let's see here. Other stuff. Defensively, obviously, there's when you score 10 points, there's not too much to touch on. Or give up 10 points, I should say. Tyler Elton, Scoop County boy, led the team in tackles with 6. I mean, not too many, but I thought he looked a little out of position at times in the Purdue game, so it was good to see him rebound. And then Curtis Jacobs rebounded nice too after a pretty quiet Purdue game. Had a 80 overall PFF grade in run defense, so that was good to see too.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle asked last week, would you rather see, for this Ohio game, a high-scoring game or a low-scoring? And it's like the only thing that would be acceptable would be both. Offense needs to look good, defense needs to look good, and they both did it. So,
I think just staying on the linebacker train, Abdul Carter also, man, that kid can lay the wood. I saw him just.
He just looks good, man. When you're watching pregame, you just look down there. I think part of it is just seeing that number 11. Like the number 11 jersey at Penn State just stands out. But man, you just look down there and it just catches your eye. It's like that dude looks different.
There was a play on the sideline that I just was in Kyle's ear about it because he just took a kid right on the sideline, just way out of bounds, a hard shove, and I was just like, man, that kid can hit.
Between them two and Dominic DeLuca, the guy I was hitting at earlier, another freshman. Between Eldon, and he's freshman or sophomore, I keep forgetting. Is he?
Eldon's a Richard Jr., I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's been around for a while.
I mean, between those two guys and then DeLuca coming in there, we'll be good at linebacker next year too.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And one last thing I just wanted to mention before we transition here into the last segment, but I thought it was a pretty clean game overall. I mean, we didn't have a ton of big penalties. They didn't have a ton of big penalties. Pretty clean game by both sides.
Yeah. That's a good, and that's good, especially with the amount of young guys that we had.
Did we have 4 penalties? I believe, and Ohio might have 3 or something along there. It was low.
We had probably 4, and that one with Kevon Lee was not actually a penalty that got called back. The blindside block where the guy's looking right at him and even ducks out of the way a little bit. So
penalties, 4 for 35 yards.
Yeah, but it was a good game overall. So.
Hey, last thing. What'd you guys think of Parker Washington on some of those returns? It was kind of electric to see him dance around. It gets me concerned a little bit.
His returns are fine. Some of the way he catches some of these punts, it's like I'm worried. I mean, we've seen some huge muff punts in college football this year. It worries me a little bit.
That first one, I thought he was going to just catch it in stride and continue to run all the way to the end zone. The way he had to turn and run on that one, but yeah, I mean. Like you said it last week too, Trent, like the jittering that he has, like sometimes you just want to see him go. I like how shifty he is, but I just want to
see him run.
And if nothing is there, I don't mind trying to make a move and make something out of nothing. But what got me mad, like in the Purdue game, was there was a point in time on that one return. He had like 12 yards of open space in front of him, and he just like stopped and like started going the other way. And it's like, get those 12 yards when they're giving it to you.
I think like to the point you guys are making that's what you're going to get with a guy like that. Like he's going to dance when there's like no room at all. And he's going to get 12 yards. And when there is 12 yards to get, he's going to dance and he's not going to take advantage of it.
Saquon, it was probably Saquon's biggest fault when he was at Penn State.
Yeah. And Parker's not a speed guy. Like, so that's how he needs to create his space. That's fine. I'm just happy to see something coming out of that return game. Because for so long, it's just been every time we come back, right? Let's just wave the hand now and be done with it. So
that's why I was kind of excited.
But we'll probably see more of that as we get into better teams. You have a lot faster guys on these special teams that are going to be able to cover a lot quicker. You will see a lot more of that as we get further in the season.
Was just low punts too, nothing crazy, short low punts. But we'll take
our punter though. I mean, we have to be.
Oh my God,
have to be happy, man. He can drop some dimes. He's not the longest punter in the game, but he is a pretty good punt, and the dimes he could drop. Kyle sort of looks like my golf shots. That backspin he puts on it.
Except for the times where I beat you.
Here we go.
2 times. I'll take 2 touchbacks on the season.
Meanwhile, that Ohio punter where he shanked it kind of looks like Winnie's golf swing, if you ask me, for going up into the crowd. All right, let's move on to some of the other games, because after we got done in the noon slot, or even while we were finishing up, college football got a little crazy. So do you want me to read through some of the scores, or we want to just
we touched on Notre Dame, so we could probably skip that one. But
what about Alabama, Texas?
Actually, mention the score again. It'll make me feel good.
I was just say Sun Belt, Fun Belt here.
So number 8 Notre Dame, who was ranked number 8 and in the top 10, lost 26-21 to the Marshall Thundering Herd, who I had to explain to Alex while this game was going on that no, they're actually a college team. They're not a high school team. So that was fun to see. And then, like when he said, as we were wrapping up, Alabama barely gets out alive from Austin, Texas, and wins 20-19 against the Longhorns, which surprised me. I didn't think Texas was going to have that fight. So
I didn't think so either.
Thank goodness. I believed in them.
If you watch those highlights, Texas was a better team. It's not just that, like, Alabama really escaped there with a win. There were Texas missed some field goals.
That's what's like. I don't think we gave the team enough credit. I don't think nationally we got enough credit for that Purdue win in week 1. College football, it's not easy. It's not easy. Anyone can lose in any given week.
after today's AP poll.
And it doesn't have to be pretty. Purdue game wasn't pretty. Got the win. Alabama probably should have lost that game 10 times over. They got the win.
Yep.
Well, we're finally in the AP poll now, so I think we're 22nd. So we got
Yes.
we got some recognition.
Win and move on. I have a feeling that Alabama locker room after the game was probably the most miserable winning locker room after a big game. You saw the way Saban was yelling at some of those guys for doing horns down after.
But the horns down was hilarious. If you've seen the video when they're walking into the tunnel after the game, every Bama player is just giving the horn. The horns down is one of the best things about Texas. Like they get so offended over it, and it's the dumbest gesture that can just irritate the fan base so much.
Yeah.
Well, other Texas team, Appalachian State went into Kyle Field and beat Texas A&M, who's ranked sixth, 17-14. So Sun Belt, Fun Belt, App State. I think they might be like the best. Are they the best Giant Slayer team? You think they give every top 25 team run for their money? They gave us a run a few years ago.
Don't schedule them. I saw a tweet.
They almost beat North Carolina last week.
They get $1.5 million to go do it.
Okay. I saw a tweet yesterday that if you have a stadium with over 100,000 seats, don't schedule Appalachian State because they will give you a game. So, and you got to imagine those Aggie fans don't feel too good about scoring 14 points against a team that gave up 61 the week before with North Carolina's 2 top receivers out. So things might not be going too well over there in College Station. But
another good Penn State result. Tennessee beat Pitt 34-27 in overtime. It's always nice to see that those Panthers lose. So
good. The Narduzzi freaking deserves it. He got Slovis hurt because instead of just kneeling it and going into the locker room, he tries to be aggressive when he wasn't aggressive on the series before with more time.
Yeah, he punted the series before, which is just insane that then in that situation he does that.
You got to keep him guessing.
Yeah, so he deserved that.
My favorite Pat Narduzzi moment is still kicking the field goal against us from the 1 yard line. That's still the best moment.
He learned his lesson. Won't do that again. But other Big Ten shakeup, Wazoo goes in and beats Wisconsin 17-14. Big Ten West. Oh boy.
Scott Frost is gone.
Yeah.
No more Scott Frost.
Boy, I believe that was my last call question in our preview. Where will he make the season? We all said no, and he didn't even make it midway.
At least you made it 3 games in, even though it's technically week 2. So quarter of the way, made it a quarter of the way. And then we already kind of touched on Kentucky beating Florida 26-16 at home. Oh, the other one I do want to touch on too, BYU beat Baylor. That's funny because if you see on Twitter today, now Desmond Howard's playoff prediction where it's Tennessee, A&M, Michigan, and Baylor, 3 of those teams already have losses. So that's just freaking hilarious too.
That's what you get from Desmond Howard.
Yeah.
Notable Penn State hater.
Yeah, that's what he deserves. Any other games we want to touch on?
Crazy week and glad we weren't upset. So win and move on.
Win and move on.
Stay alive.
Beat the teams that you're supposed to beat.
Survive and
do your
advance.
job. Yep.
Yeah, that's what ranking doesn't even matter because it doesn't matter if we're 22 or 72 or whatever.
Just win.
If we win our games, we're good.
1 week at a time.
Let's go. I am we'll have a whole preview episode. I am getting excited for Auburn. I will say that. I am getting excited.
I picked us to lose to Auburn in the preseason, but after watching a little bit of their game yesterday, I feel a little bit better.
Yeah, but honestly, that worries me a little bit. Just the way college football is, crazy storylines happen all the time, and team struggles 1 week, next week they come out with this huge upset. It's just
even what you were saying, Trent. I feel in this game again. I don't think we showed a whole lot, but I definitely feel like in spots, especially the trenches, we played we played down. I definitely think we played down.
A game against Ohio, you're not going to show much. Yeah. We keep it bare bones and go with it.
But look at Texas. I don't know a whole lot about them, but they definitely played up, I'm sure. And Alabama probably played down, likely.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's move on to last call. Who wants to go first?
I can take it. Do you guys think that we will execute a trick play like we saw Ohio do against us, against Auburn?
Against
No.
Auburn, probably not. At some point in the season, yeah. I mean, you always see a trick play sprinkled in there, but against Auburn, probably not.
No, because
No,
that could be. Go ahead, Coco.
No, I don't see either. Remember last year, Auburn ran that trick play against us, and they fumbled it. I think it was like in the opening of the second half. They did like I wish it was a halfback toss, wherever it was, and the guy fumbled it. So I don't think we need to. We're gonna be the better team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Trick plays, in my opinion, are for a team like when your back's against the wall. Yep. Or even like Kyle mentioned it, Auburn last year when your back was against the wall for a lot of the game. You're in that hostile environment. You got to go big or go home, and I just don't see it playing out in this week's game for us.
Yeah, not necessarily a trick play, but at some point there's something
that the bush push is going to be
there's got to be
bush
something.
Trick plays.
Yeah. So
but then again, I mean, if it keeps working,
just keep doing it.
Brenton Strange is a man. Like, let it.
I want to see. I think we had something earlier on where it was like Kyle wrestling.
Poor Clifford's the test dummy.
I want to see.
You think they'd run the? They would never run the bush push for Drew Alar. They would never. But Clifford he's the test dummy. He's like, go out there.
I want to see Coco 1-on-1 against Strange versus. I know we talked before about the wrestling. I want to see Kyle versus Strange.
That dude's
see if he can hold his own.
All right, let's get on the last call before we have another 60-minute podcast.
All right,
I got it. Or Trent, you want to go or let me go?
Go ahead, Kyle.
Why don't you go? Yeah,
I was just say, obviously this is week 1, the NFL. Do you guys, between any penalties in the NFL, anything that the NFL does with red zone, anything, what do you got? Would there be anything from the NFL that you want to see implemented in college?
So I said this to Kyle. I don't like the NFL's overtime rules. I like college's better. I like the 1 foot instead of 2 foot for college. I don't like that you could just trip over your own 2 feet, get up and keep running the ball. Like, I like the fact that if your knee's down, I don't like that you have to be touched down in the NFL.
I don't like that pass interference is a spot foul.
Today, that was the dumbest. Like, today, under 2 minutes in the NFL, that stupid rule with the Bengals where Joe Burrow fumbled, but you're not allowed to advance the ball. Only the person player can. Yeah, only the person fumbling the ball can advance it. Like, that's the dumbest rule ever. If it's a fumble, it's a fumble.
One thing I would love to see is like a college football version of red zone.
Yeah,
like
I was just gonna say that'd be the only thing.
Have a paid paid subscription where you can just get everything instead of flipping through all the channels. Whenever someone's in red zone for college football, throw that on TV. I think it'd be a cool.
Yeah, it can't happen. I mean, as we know, the way media works in college football, it's NFL. You have that single entity. In the NFL, it's by conference with these huge media right deals. It just wouldn't work.
Yeah, that's why you buy more TVs. Then you don't have to worry about it. But
Kyle and I have 4.
Yeah, we already said it last week, but just shorter game times. Like that game yesterday was 4 hours. So
the NFL is just a machine with some of these game times. I mean, they are bang.
Yeah. Like Kyle said today, their games were at 1 o'clock. Like the 1 o'clock games went into overtime, and they still barely bled into the afternoon slate.
Yeah. Where ours didn't get done until what, like 4:10 almost. Like it was nuts.
Yeah.
But I guess that goes with the Kyle's talking about different rules when that clock
no running clock, like none of that.
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, in college football, every first down, that clock stopping, I like it, but it does lead to longer games, and then the commercials are excessive too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I was gonna say something, but never mind. Trent, what do you got?
Yeah, so actually we sort of touched on mine already, but my question was going to be: is Nick Singleton the number 1 running back for this game against Auburn? Does he come out with the first series?
No, I think you're gonna see sort of what you saw this week, where Lee is still the first guy, but within a couple of plays he's in. Like it was like 2 or 3 plays and Singleton came in. Mm-hmm. So I think you'll see something like that. He might be RB1 in terms of snaps if he gets hot again, but I don't think in terms of just like depth position.
Do I think he deserves to be the starter? Yes, I think he should be, but Willie, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think again, you're like what these guys are saying, you're going to see Lee starting it off, but I think if Singleton has a really big game, that following one against, I think it's Central Michigan, he's going to come out and start. I think if he has a big game against Auburn, I think he'll take that starting step then.
Well, I mean, that's so I was going to say, Winnie, like at what point does Franklin make that jump? Like if Singleton balls out every game, does he just have to say, yeah, you'll get the second carry like Kayvon Lee's still a starter? When does that happen?
And see, this is what I was kind of like saying to you before. Like, I understand what you're saying about keeping everybody happy because you don't want to lose like a lot of these really good guys that we have coming up. But at the same time, like if you have an elite player, you should play him because that's how you win, in my opinion. I mean, that's what all the other big programs do. If you have like the best guy, I mean, he should start, not go in just sparingly because there's a senior above him.
Well, but I think it's about earning it too, and it's not necessarily just about the plays, it's the mental aspect, it's all those aspects that go into what we get to see for 4 hours on an afternoon.
And there's a lot of stuff that the fans aren't looking at too, right? I mean, when there's a pass play, we're not looking to see like, wow, Kayvon Lee's our best blocking running back. We're following the ball. We're not looking at that stuff off the ball where the coaches are looking at that. Like I can't sit there and tell you if Singleton's a great at picking up the blocks or not. Comparing him to other running backs, I can't tell you. I'm not watching that type of stuff.
Well, even to that point, like we see those big runs down the sideline, and that's great. But like maybe there was a hole that he was supposed to hit, and he bounced it outside. And Franklin might say that's great, but your hole was there. Like hit your hole.
That's what I was just gonna say because I noticed it when I was rewatching the game today after that second touchdown. Franklin was talking to him on the sideline, and obviously it's just speculation, but the way he was talking to him, it almost seemed like he was telling him like, oh yeah, that's great, but you should have done this or that instead of just bouncing to the outside.
It's true because against a better team, you're way more talented than Ohio. So you could just make a move and your talent will get around the outside and beat a guy. You get that against Ohio State, that same thing could lead to a 2 or 3 yard tackle for a loss.
It's similar to what Dan Mullen would say last year with Anthony Richardson at Florida. We're like, yeah, he made that great 78-yard scramble, but he missed 3 open receivers on the way to do that. So there's a lot
he took the hard way.
There's a lot that goes into these young guys playing, but I think by week 3 or 4, if Singleton continues to improve or whoever it is, if you're talking about these other young guys at different spots, I think that's when you're going to see it. So. All right, so we can try to get out here before this late night NFL game starts. My last call is, do you start Sean Clifford against Central Michigan in 2 weeks? Not saying for Alar replaces him for whatever reason. Do you bench him or rest him for a rest and injury standpoint?
No,
I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I feel like if you bench Clifford, like there may be like a mental aspect, like why am I getting benched? Even though like if I can come out and say we want to save you going forward for a Big Ten play, I don't know. Like I still feel like you.
Yeah, there's a 0% chance Franklin would consider it.
Yeah,
I understand where Matt's coming from, and I think it will be an early pool. But Central Michigan is a much better football team than Ohio.
Yes.
Like I don't think it's as much of a cakewalk as Ohio was. They should be a much better football team. It's not a situation where I think you want to mess around. I mean, upsets happen. You never know when they're coming.
I was gonna say, I understand what your thinking is, Matt. To me, I'd be more worried of ruining his rhythm of anything. Like these guys are saying, because you see in the NFL all the time, you preseason these quarterbacks don't play a whole lot, and then week 1 they kind of come out flat and don't look that great. And then even in going to the playoffs, they have that last game and it's like, oh, we're going to get a bye anyways, let's just not play anybody. And whatever happens. And then they just, they come out really flat.
And talk about what it could do to Clifford. It could do this if Alar comes out and balls and then Franklin, the next game, Franklin's like, great game. You're still a second string. Like, it's like a little bit, it's like, what more could I have done?
Yeah. Well, I think when he's comparing those NFL games when he's talking about his birds, so that could be part of it
birds.
Too. But
Go Birds.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think you start him, but almost an earlier pull than what we saw this week. Like I think getting some of these young guys in earlier would be beneficial.
And I still feel like overall Sean Clifford through the first 2 games right now, he's doing his part. He's not again, one bad throw against Purdue. Other than that, like I am not.
But if you're expecting perfection from your college team, then you're setting yourself up for failure. Alabama, you name it, some of the best teams out there. You're not going to get perfection in the game of college. You're not going to get it in the NFL, but you're certainly not going to get it in college. Some of your best quarterbacks still make the dumbest throws at times. Some of your biggest receivers, the best receivers in the game, will make huge drops in critical spots. it happens to every team all over the country every week.
All right, Chad, my follow-up to that is, I guess, the first 2 games, what letter grade would you guys give Sean Clifford through 2 games?
I'm probably in the B range. I mean,
I'm going B plus. I mean, you're not.
I mean that drive against Purdue was incredible. His stats are like if you look at his stats are great, and it's like if you're gonna say the eye test, okay, but I mean facts, Matt, you know the facts. Yeah, facts are hard and true evidence.
Yeah. The only thing I would say anecdotally is it feels like his pocket presence is worse compared to this time last year. Like last year, I felt like he went. I just felt like he was in more control when he was rolling out last year, and it was more systematic. Where this year, there are times where it feels just a little bit more chaotic. Yeah. But again, well, like you said, the stats have been fine. You know, a couple of bad throws.
I think he's looked. I think he's looked a little quicker this year with some of his runs so far. I think he will. Like he had like a 15-20 yard one where coverage was downfield, and
I think the biggest thing is his accuracy seems to be more consistent, for sure. Like he's not missing like these short little, like last year he'd be throwing balls at the guy's feet all the time, like on short little 3-yard outs, like things that a D1 quarterback should not be doing. I don't see as much of that this year.
I think he's been working through his progressions a lot better as well. To Matt's point, I think the only thing that really concerns me with him is just his awareness in the pocket. I think sometimes he jumps ship too soon. Sometimes he rolls into the pressure and then gets sacked. So that's my only thing with him. Other than that, like you said, accuracy's great. He runs the ball well.
It's probably the same criticism we'd have for Drew Allar at this point. It's the pocket presence is, and that's probably what takes the longest. I mean, the adjustment to the college game from the high school game is that pocket presence. The game does move a lot faster, but it just seems, and I think what we've seen is a couple of the big sacks we've taken. Matt talked about like that right side giving up a lot of pressure. It feels like the bigger sacks have come when the left side has also given up some pressure, because when you have pressure from one side, you could get out of the pocket, throw the ball. When you have pressure from both sides, you can't just throw the ball away. You're in the pocket. You got to throw it at someone's feet or take the sack.
And that's one thing comparing Allar and Clifford. I feel like we talked about Allar stepping up in the pocket and making those throws. Yeah, it's fun, but you guys saw Allar's mobility. He's not the fleetest of foot out there. Clifford, he at least has that like.
Ooh, that's a nice phrase you got there.
Yeah.
Roll off the tongue there, but Clifford is, I don't know, he has that, not breakaway speed, but he can still scramble out and get you guys 15 yards. So
but Allar is a little bigger too, so that can
it helps.
So easy. He's all
240 or whatever.
Yeah, 240,
245.
What was he like 6'1", 6'2"?
No, he's 6'5".
Oh
yeah, Clifford's only like 6'2", I think. But.
Yeah. So. We have anything else? I think we hit on pretty much everything. We're running up on an hour here. I'm watching Monarch on Fox because the Bears game or the Vikings game ended. So let's wrap this up a little bit. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Reminder to follow us on our socials, PSU Tailgate Talk, email PSU Tailgate Talk @gmail.com. Follow us because we're going to have Tailgate Talk on location this week. So we'll be coming to you from Auburn, Alabama, some of us at least. So we'll get to that later. But gonna be a good time, and we'll look to see if the Lions can go 3-0. Until then, we are Tailgate Talk.